Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, this is Red Carter from Wrecktitution Media, and welcome to Wrecktitution! So anyways, I'm going to be getting back into the fact that the emails that have been being released just left, right, and center with WikiLeaks and just the against Hillary Clinton, and also the FBI coming out with leaks that have pretty much just destroyed the Clinton's credibility. I mean, you have them openly admitting that there's a shadow government that was involved in Hillary Clinton's email investigation, and also with many different accounts of her bribing FBI agents with comfy positions to pretty much drop the investigation on her. So the mainstream media too, with also the WikiLeaks, has been revealed to have been completely in bed with the Democratic National Convention, so much so as to even asking for their advice on what they were going to say in some articles, and whether or not, when they were trying to be critical, they would go by different news media outlets and make sure that the DNC was approving them, so they could have a little bit of criticism as long as it was open-ended and didn't seem that bad. So it just goes to show you how much of a clusterfuck the United States has become. Here in Canada, we have Kathleen Wynne. She's trying to ban mother and father from. It's ridiculous. It's oh my god, it's so stupid. And she's trying to say it's to exclude all these lesbians and queer families and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, okay, you know what? I understand if you want to, then at least give them the same rights and stuff like that. Don't just take out a term that's liberally offensive and hurts their cultural Marxist agenda by getting rid of mother and father. That's just, there are more traditional families, maybe not so much as there used to be, but you shouldn't have to punish them by saying that they can't be a mother or a father. There's different responsibilities and whatnot that comes with both of those positions, and just to say, oh, birth parent or parent, you still have to take care of your kids and show them what's right and wrong when you're a parent, that's technically really not that big of a deal, but it's just going to show you that they're trying to get rid of words. It's just kind of going towards that whole Orwellian notion of just, thought criminals and just killing free speech as it is. But anyways, WikiLeaks, I'm going to get back to that there. They've also, what happened, I guess there was all these rumors saying that Julian Assange had been killed or something like that, because there was a bunch of keys that got automatically released and stuff. But that was more because I guess John Kerry puts a lot of pressure on the Ecuadorians and had the internet cut there. So hopefully, Ecuador stays on his side and kind of lets him do his thing. But apparently he's not even allowed to use the phone now. He's had to take little pictures of himself and get people to leave the embassy with that to post it. So it just goes to show you how much they've and the average person, the average stupid American who watches their news and takes it as religion and the God speak, is just totally fucking brainwashed. And I just can't believe it. Here in Canada, they're doing the exact same thing. There is no objective reporting. And here in Canada, you think it would be easy for the CBC to just copy and paste the many different scandals that she's had, and it would be the most easiest job for a journalist to do. Is to pretty much just to check out all of the past scandals that the Clintons have been involved in. Take Haiti, for example. The place is still a hellhole 5 years after the fact. And they've got no coverage on the fact that the Clintons, not only screwed over their water system and made it so they were actually taking craps and stuff like that actually killed a lot of Haitians, but the fact that they didn't even give them a lot of the money. And then there's emails from WikiLeaks that are pretty much Chelsea Clinton saying, hey, these people are dying. We really need to get money and aid to these Haitian people. And then they have the people in the Clinton Foundation that are all angry with Chelsea because, she doesn't know how the scam is run, so to speak. So just complete blatant, I can't believe it. Just total brainwash propaganda in the mainstream media. You cannot even trust the news. If they are a mainstream media organization, you can't trust them now. Because WikiLeaks, if you've gone through all the emails, if you've gone through the DC leaks, if you've gone through the FBI leaks that have come out showing that Hillary Clinton has had the seventh floor, like a shadow government entity that operates with impunity in the American government system, which is the exact reason on why, like, even the average American knows that Hillary Clinton is corrupt, but it's between them voting for either a corrupt president or a racist president. So, I mean, it just goes to show you how, I mean, hey, Trump's rhetoric has been kind of divisive in a lot of respects, but he said things the way they are, and that's what I like about America. They don't beat around the bush. They tell it like it is. I mean, Obama came over, when Obama first ran against Bush, I was like, hey, no, this guy's got to be better than Bush. And this was around the time where I was just out of high school. I was just about to travel, so I wasn't really keeping up with the politics as much as I am now, but also a lot more shape back then too, but anyways, it was oh damn. Anyways, what it was Obama pretty much saying, oh, we're going to change all this stuff, we're not going to let Wall Street run Washington. And then what does he do? He gives out the biggest bailout to Wall Street. And I know a lot of people would say, oh, well, he just came into office and then he got dumped on him, and I can understand that, but he put in the exact same people in his economic cabinet as practically the Bushes had. Practically the same insiders of Washington that have made it just as bad as what it has always been. He selected them to run his administration for the first term, and full well knowing that they're going to bail out. I mean, if you watch the Big Short, the banks full well knew that their boy Obama was going to bail them out, no matter what happened, no matter how much they scammed the American people. They just wanted to put the black face on the New World Order, and that's what happened. I mean, there was no doubt that the bankers knew that they weren't going to get bailed out. And then you got like Warren Buffett, Hillary Clinton trying to make this new tax thing called the Buffett Clause, where she's trying to make higher corporations pay. Warren Buffett was the biggest bailout recipient from the freaking welfare money that was given out through the bailout. He received some of the most money out of it, and here he is licking his DQ ice cream. Yeah, the ultra rich, they gotta pay more taxes. I'm tax exempt. Just totally. Might as well just have the giant money thing, right? A money bag on top of the cone, just him sitting there just licking those dollar bills. $100 bills, y'all! Most expensive tub of ice cream in the world. But yeah, no, it's ridiculous. It just goes to show you how much of a just shit show. Like the markets are completely rigged. Forex markets are rigged. It's so many times they actually include in the GDP statistics of a country now. They include drugs, prostitution, all of this just completely illegal criminal stuff. But if it's done by the banks and if it's done with the okay of governments, then it's totally fine. Because it was all because we needed to get rid of the Taliban in Afghanistan that we went after 9/11, and there are people that believe that. But when you look at the fact that they've been there for how many years now, and a lot of that has to do with what? Oh, protecting opium? Oh no! Opium? Yeah, apparently that's the reason why a lot of military people are still in Afghanistan. And I mean, Canadians left Afghanistan, and they were saying that they did. Some soldiers said that they were doing good there, but let's be honest. We're talking about a region that hasn't been occupied since Alexander the Great. A place where they molest boys, and they produce a higher sexual value on little boys than they do little girls, because once they hit maturity, then apparently it's illegal in the Quran, and just a whole bunch of really screwed up shit about Afghanistan. Like, they have soldiers that have gone over there to pretty much teach the basics in, warfare, and also in human rights, when you're holding people, that you can't just kill everyone or beat them to death interrogation to get what you want. You have to treat them like human beings and that they have some rights, right? And they've had tons of cases where there's been Marines or soldiers that have been sent home because they were stopping these Afghanistan military police from buggering little boys. And yeah, it's pretty messed up. It really is. And also the fact that I think it's pretty funny. You ever seen the news how they're talking about the pharmaceutical companies? And I'll be covering this in another societal manipulation segment that I'll be doing shortly. But they're talking about, in the past 10 years, all of this opium overdoses. It's just horrible and catastrophic how many people are dying from prescription drugs, and mostly prescription drugs that are opiates, because they're the ones that kind of do most of the like overdoses and stuff like that, depending on what people can get. But no mention of the fact that we've practically taken over the Afghanistan opium practice, and that most of the opium that we're getting in North America is from Afghanistan. So, yeah, no mention of that whatsoever. No mention of the fact that the petrodollar is one of the main driving factors of Western hegemony for the that whole, we're doing it in the name of human rights and because we're moral and just. So, in one of the WikiLeaks emails, Hillary Clinton knows that ISIS is being funded by Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Yet, there's no criticism of Saudi Arabia or Qatar. In fact, we're best friends with Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And it wasn't, and when you actually really look into just the logic of what happened after 9/11, how when they just released, Bush was in charge of censoring the 28 pages from the Intelligence Committee report, which was done about a year and a bit after 9/11 actually happened. And they came out with the 9/11 Commission report, which was just a total joke. They didn't even put in World Trade Center 7, anything there. They're pretty much their models were just pretty much disproven over and over again. Architects and engineers have just said, no way in hell that could have happened. And apparently the only couple times in history that a steel building of that caliber has actually fallen due to just structural fires or internal fires, office fires, is the first two times it's ever happened in history was 9/11. So if you believe that that was a magical day that defined the laws of physics, then by all means, oh my god. And it's so crazy because so many times after seeing all the coincidences, and I mean, all you have to do is look at a documentary on just the many different coincidences. Hey, one or two coincidences in a terrorist attack, I will kind of agree that it's probably just mostly a terrorist attack and wasn't really planned out and saw from the beginning or whatnot, or had any government involvement. But when you just look at the mass amounts of coincidences on that day, the fact that they were running multiple training scenarios with NORAD and different areas there that they were running, and one of them just happened to be the possibility of an airliner crashing into, and then having them completely not send any planes, jets up to, I think about 80 or 70 to 80 minutes later after the first plane hit the World Trade Center, the first one, and it's pretty sad. I mean, 3,000 people seeing the images of people jumping off of the top part of those towers and stuff. This is horrible. It really is. But I mean, just the fact that there was they had Israelis, and they tried to say, and I kind of get a little angry at Trump because he was trying to talk about the Muslims that were jumping up and celebrating with the on 9/11. It was actually Israelis that were okay. And when they actually Corbett Report did a really good thing on this. They did some sort of thing in Israel or whatnot, and they were showing how there was these 6 Jewish, and they were supposed to leave that day. They just came there for a couple of days, and then they said at one point that they were there to document, because they had so many terrorist attacks in Israel. They wanted to document this terrorist attack, which full well means that they knew prior that there was going to be a terrorist attack. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they were Mossad or Israeli agents. I mean, hey, I'm not, my grandma's Jewish, and even though I've never seen her go to a synagogue to pray, but that's another thing. But I mean, I don't wish anything bad towards Jewish people whatsoever, but there is a difference between people of the Jewish faith and Zionists, and just the many different aspects of elitist control groups that are vying for power. And that's what it really is. The New World Order is being implemented by these roundtable seventh floor groups, or roundtable groups, CFR, you name it, Trilateral Commissions, Club of Rome, you name it. But it's not just one organized. Like, there's a lot of different groups that are vying for power within this within this whole power structure that's trying to get rid of national sovereignty. I mean, Obama, just at the UN, was talking about how he was giving disdain for Americans who want to keep America, and that they're going to have to deal with giving up their national sovereignty in concessions to the UN agendas. So it's total bullshit, really is. And yeah, so I mean, pretty much the debate tomorrow between Trump and Hillary is going to be interesting to see. I really hope Trump just gives it to her, just goes all in, balls to the wall, and just completely goes after that hag. I mean, he would even be right to just be like, just bring all of the really damning WikiLeaks, FBI leaks that they just released, also DC leaks, and just go to the debate and be like, here we go. Here's Hillary Clinton working with the shadow government to get out of being thrown into jail for her obvious email scandals and the fact that it was obviously a criminal violation, and that James Comey should be, fired from his job. The same guy who's been involved in many different aspects of things with the Clintons, where he's let them go before without any real prosecution or investigation. So that just goes to show you. I mean, he can't be trusted. He's got to be thrown out. And there's a lot of people in the FBI that agree. That's the reason why the FBI has been leaking some of these documents, even though there's been some of them that have been heavily redacted. But the fact that it's getting out there is a main thing. Americans should realize that Hillary Clinton is about 1,000 times worse than Nixon. And I can't believe just how dumbed down we've gotten from Americans in the 1970s that were all afraid. I mean, in the 70s, at least they were aware of the fact that they were in a Cold War with Russia. Now, nobody fucking cares. The average American doesn't realize, if you ask about Putin, they'll be like, oh yeah, Putin's bad because the media has told me that Putin's bad, and blah, 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 blah. But at least in the 80s and the 70s, they knew that Russia wasn't going to fuck around, and if World War III happened, it would be a damning thing for humanity. So there was this underlying fear of a World War III nuclear catastrophe, and hey, I understand it's not good to run a society based on fear, but at least they were smart enough to know that there was the possibility of there not being a future for their kids. And nowadays, they're more concerned about the intricacies of the Paris robbery for the Kardashians. I don't give a fuck about the Kardashians. In fact, they should be completely just not reported on because of their just total insignificance. But they're used as tools to, as just kind of a latest, pop craze kind of way to pretty much just trick people into watching the latest crap, as opposed to what's really going on in the world, stuff that should actually be reported on by objective media. And we don't have that anymore. Heck, I'm not objective, obviously. I'm a Canadian who supports Trump. I got the Trump hat, Make America Great Again, and Hillary for Prison from InfoWars. But I mean, as much as people try to talk about the alternative media or the alt-right, I mean, I'm not even right-wing. There's a lot of things that I have beliefs that are, I don't care what happens between consenting adults in their bedrooms. I'm pro-choice. I mean, if there's a couple that has, that doesn't have the means to, or a woman that's been raped or whatnot by some rapist guy or whatnot, and she gets pregnant. I mean, I know people always jump to the different extremes in these cases and scenarios and stuff. I just believe that the world's a pretty scary and messed up place right now, and if you're not able to bring a child into the world, then, hey, by all means, it's your choice. I mean, myself, I like to have a little bit of reverence about certain things like that. If I was ever to, to be with a woman and I got her knocked up and we just weren't in the right place, or, stuff like that, then, I would at least do it with some reverence. I wouldn't do it as if it's just like, oh, it's a Friday afternoon, let's have an abortion. I mean, that's something that should be, obviously, what side you are on that issue. I mean, I understand the argument of people who are pro-life, And, when they say, and I understand that they have a valid argument when, you hear these Black Lives Matter people saying Black Lives Matter. They say, well, Black Lives Matter, then, why are you for abortions? Because, almost like what, half of the babies that are aborted are black. I mean, Margaret Sanger, look at the stuff she said. I mean, getting awards from Hitler, pretty much the progenitor of the Planned Parenthood movement. Bill Gates' dad was also in this the same Planned Parenthood and eugenics movement. So, when you go back and you look at just the people that are in charge and been running things for a while, it's really not surprising. And all you have to do is connect the dots to your own history. And I'm so sick and tired of people saying, oh, you conspiracy theorists, oh, you're a big fat guy, so you're obviously a conspiracy theorist, which is a funny joke I've heard a couple times. But, if you're paying attention to what's going on in the government, it's getting to the point where, with the release of the 28 pages from the Saudi Arabia, from the Intelligence Committee report in the States, they practically admit that they knew that Saudi Arabia was funding a lot of these terrorists. Bandar Bush, that's not his last name, but he was such a Prince Bandar was such good friends with the Bushes that they pretty much called him Bandar Bush, and his wife and himself was actually involved in some giving money to Muhammad Atta and. The 28 pages, the fact that it's taken us this long, it took Trump to campaign to get this released, the 28 pages, and then there was barely any coverage of it in the media. When you look at the fact that they knew after 9/11 happened that there was all this Saudi Arabian involvement, and what did they do? They went after the enemies of Saudi Arabia. They went after Afghanistan, even though a lot of the Taliban there were actually going over to Pakistan. A lot of the people that were getting killed in freaking Afghanistan were from IED explosions or from the random Al-Qaeda people that thought that they could take on Americans and go into there. But then as soon as they were getting attacked by the Americans, they'd go back over to Pakistan, and they weren't allowed to pursue. So it just goes to show you that Pakistan was the one that was, they didn't know that Bin Laden was in Pakistan. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they even had the guy, that Morgan Spurlock guy from Super Size Me, where he's trying to find Bin Laden, and everyone's telling him he's in Pakistan. I mean, they knew it for a while, and that's whether or not you believe that that was Bin Laden, or if that was a double, or because they didn't even have evidence to support that Bin Laden was involved in the 9/11 for the most part on the FBI wanted list. You can check that. And it wasn't until they came out with that video where apparently it was someone that looked like him. But if you look at the video of Bin Laden, Bin Laden's admission video and Bin Laden's video beforehand, there are some differences in the nasal and facial features, which has been pointed out by people who are experts in those fields and facial recognition. And and the fact that they went right after Saddam, went into Iraq, just goes to show you that they knew full well that Saudi Arabia was behind the 9/11 attacks, and they did nothing. So bare minimum, criminal elements of the shadow government of the U.S. Pretty much worked with Saudi Arabia and different areas there through the CIA. They pretty much trained some of those pilots that were hijacked the planes and. On CIA, actual American bases, air bases. There was even a couple cases where there was an FBI informant living with the terrorists that were the hijackers and stuff. So, there's just so many different coincidences that put this in there where if you really take your time to analyze it and just kind of see what was going on, that there was some sketchy bullshit behind 9/11. And I think, guys like Alex Jones, Corbett Report, and many other alternative media people out there, whether or not, take Corbett for example. I love the open sourcing that he does on his channel, and anybody else that ever, there's been a few times where people put a link in some of the comments in the comment section of my videos, and I've gone and checked those links out, or I've gone over to see what somebody has to say and either subscribe to them and try to kind of share the love, because that's what it should be about on a community site. I get the occasional idiot every now and then, but that's just how it is. Especially when you're talking about politics, you got people that just they watch them half an hour of the brainwashed mainstream media news, and they consider themselves a political analyst. And oh my God, have I seen those kind of people on Facebook, especially when they're trying to say, oh, well, I went to school for political studies, and because of that makes me this pseudo-intellectual, and I know exactly what I'm talking about, and you don't know anything you're talking about. All your sources are fake news. Oh my God, so trendy. And it's so ridiculous, because I see that all the freaking time. People that will just insert ist here for Donald Trump and not, look into any kind of criticism whatsoever of the Clintons, and just like how badly they've just screwed over countries like Libya and Syria and Haiti, and just, oh my God, just so many different, it boggles the mind. And all you have to do is just, maybe a few hours of looking into like research or watching some, good documentaries and stuff that show different sides, and make your own opinion on that, and or take different points that they present in their arguments and check them up to see for sure. And what I think is kind of interesting about this whole this election is that there's the fact checking. It is the election of mainstream media fact checking. Hillary's up there like, if you don't believe some of the stuff that Donald Trump's saying, well, you can go to my site and get it fact checked by, like as if it's like a non-biased. I'm sorry, but if you have two political groups or more that are doing fact checking, then they're wasting their own time and money, because obviously they're biased as shit. Like, there's no way around that. If you're going to be like, oh, well, we're the Democrats, all the Republicans are liars and Trump's a liar, so come to our site to find out exactly the truth. It's like, what? And then now, then they're like, oh, don't go to Trump's websites because he's a Russian agent. It's like, oh my God, really? This is so ridiculous. It's gotten to such a Faustinian, Orwellian, just kind of, you name all the weird scientific, political, freaking horrible, eventualities where like the world's gone to some sort of post-apocalyptic control grid, and you just mix all those together, and that's what you've practically got nowadays. It's gotten to such a point where it's just pure insanity. And you've got it now so that, let's say, like, I'm trying to post like actual news articles in an argument with somebody who's open-minded. Well, the first thing that I have to do is try to find articles that has the news, the truth that I'm trying to present to someone, but covered by a mainstream media or outlet. Because as soon as you show an outlet from somebody that may have actually sent reporters, that may have actually been the one that broke that story, because they're not the mainstream media, apparently they're automatically discredited in it. Even though there's less than, the mainstream media overall in the States has had like the least amount of people that trust it whatsoever in recorded history. I mean, that just goes to show you right there that nobody trusts the media in the States, and that there's obviously these agendas that are being pushed out by like Rachel Maddow and many different people across, whether it's not a left or right paradigm. And it's actually been kind of interesting to see the Republicans completely fall apart in a lot of this, because the neocons are flipping shit. They want war with Russia. They don't want Trump in. They gave him zero, like the RNC has given $0 to Trump, when historically they're supposed to at least give 50 or 100 million. And Trump has gone out and campaigned for the RNC and made them ridiculous amounts of money, because they have people that are coming over from Democrats to Republicans who never thought they'd ever vote for a Republican that are doing so. So, I mean, here in Canada, we've got so many different parties, but they're all practically corrupt and trying to produce a UN kind of agenda for a global government. And that's either through this carbon tax crap that's being promoted that's just ridiculous, that's causing hydro rates to go up to like $1,500 for houses. And what it's meant to do is to put Canadians And as much as people, you give Alex Jones shit for talking about like these crazy cities where everyone lives in like these like 50 by 50 little like tiny little units and stuff like that, that is what they're trying to do with these carbon rates, because they pump out the rates so high that it makes you not want to live in a single family home dwelling. It makes you want to live in an apartment building where either the hydro is paid for, or that because it's such a small space that you don't pay as much hydro. And that's what it's really geared towards. It has nothing to do with meeting energy costs, because here in Canada we have plenty of like, we've been making all these new windmills, but the thing is, we haven't gotten to the point where we can completely use those windmills to fuel the energy demands and the hydro that we have in Niagara Falls to fuel the entire area of Ontario. But it is getting close. But because it's gotten close, then all of a sudden wind, who's a pretty much an Agenda 21 cheerleader, has practically switched us over without us having to be able to accommodate for that increased hydro demand, which is going to be happening over the next 5-10 years. So they raise the rates so that we pay more money for it, and so that therefore more people end up getting not being able to pay their hydro, or have to choose between hydro, rent, or food. It's such a way to screw over Canadians, and Canadians are so polite that we just bend over on that table and just let her roll. Let the deliverance commence, I guess you could say that. The butt frucking, as the name of that one store in Idiocracy, where it starts turning into butt fuckers. But it's getting to that point where it's just the errant stupidity, the just blatant mainstream media bias of not reporting on, just like WikiLeaks, just this flood of email evidence against Hillary Clinton on so many different things that she should be throwing her ass in jail, and there is absolutely no coverage of it. In fact, in Canada, they can't have, and in the States, they spent the past week talking about these angered women from the Apprentice shows or some stupid stuff like that, where even their families are coming out and saying that the women are seeking attention and they have no careers, and that's the reason why they're going after Trump, when there's no proof behind it. There's no actual women that are coming out to, and 2 weeks before an election, they're coming after Trump, when Bill Clinton, if you want to compare sexual not conquest, but just forays into the absurd, and look no further than Bill Clinton, because the difference between the two erroneous cases that they tried to bring up against Trump and the Bill Clinton rape cases is that the woman in Bill Clinton's rape cases, whether or not they settled, don't mind giving their names to the public, and have many times spoken out against Bill Clinton and his sexual misconduct and his sexual abuse. And the fact that they have been focusing on Trump, a guy who he said a few things like the locker room banter with the pussy thing and stuff like that, and they make him out to be the guy who's the biggest threat to women, when you've got Bill Clinton, the guy who was the biggest pussy man philanderer, you name it, a guy who would do all kinds of crazy stuff that you go, oh my god. And Hillary Clinton with Huma Abedin and all that jazz, and how the fact that she's with a woman whose mother supports female genital mutilation and Sharia law, and Hillary Clinton is the choice for women? What? She's got millions of dollars from Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and I've said it in many different videos, the same countries that throw gay and lesbian people off of buildings to their deaths, and make it so that a woman's not allowed to drive a car in public, or walk out in public without male accompaniment. That's screwed up. That is so screwed up. And I think some Americans are starting to wake up, but, the mainstream media is, this is the death of the mainstream media. And I've talked to so many people that don't really pay attention to the whole political thing, that are that are just kind of mind controlled into hating Trump because all the trendies hate Trump, right? I talked to them for an hour, and they're Trump supporters. They realize, oh my god, the mainstream media is full of shit. Yeah, they're completely biased. So the good thing is that it's gotten to a point, and even in the WikiLeaks emails, they've admitted, with the Podesta leaks, saying that, oh, well, we've gotten to a point where we can't manipulate people anymore. There's this huge backlash of society that's not following the tricks that we're trying to push towards for our agendas. So let's now try to switch it to make it to a cultural thing where it's black and white versus, like race-based politics. And that's the way that they've switched it over with this whole supporting Black Lives Matter and stuff through George Soros. And it's crazy. It really is. I mean, I'm kind of glad. I mean, here in Canada, we have Black Lives Matter in Toronto. It's like, really, Black Lives Matter? They're the same people here in Toronto that tried to block Freudian slip there, block the gay parade in Toronto to have them, like, sign something to accept something for Black Lives Matter, when only, like, in a month, maybe 7 people get shot by police in Ontario. Like, it's a very low statistic. And I mean, we're very multicultural. Like, you couldn't get any more multicultural than Canada. I mean, that's so crazy how they're trying to make it, like, all about racism in Canada. Like, what? Maybe if they had it with, like, the natives and stuff and that kind of thing, I would understand. But, I mean, the whole, like, we've gotten rid of people used to come to Canada to escape slavery. And I mean, like, the British eradicated it way back in, like, the 1800s or some shit like that. Like, oh my God. And they're trying to push their agenda here in Canada, so that's hilarious. I think one of the Rebel reported on it recently, and oh my God, the descriptions, I could just put so much stuff. I might just flood my description bar with links again to different outlets and media and WikiLeaks emails or DC leaks and all that crap. But anyways, they had I guess one of the heads of Black Lives Matter in Toronto, they did some stupid thing where they were on the student union, and they ended up, like, leaving and getting over, like, $250,000 severance pay. Apparently one of the ladies claimed 1,900 hours of overtime in one day. So get your head around that. Obviously, the students' union are suing them, and because the students' union sued this lady for getting a ridiculous amount of money out of them before I guess 2 people on the on the committee were obviously her friends or something, are in favor of her, and allowed her to have the severance, and that's like almost 10% of, like, the annual budget for the students' union. So they're suing them, and because they sued them, then Black Lives Matter and the BLC in Toronto, it's like the collective or something like that, which is just a scary freaking notion right there. You're practically fighting the Black Borg. Resistance is futile. Give us money or we'll cry. But you see them pretty much going into the office in the student unions and start yelling and protesting and carrying like total freaking idiots, calling them racists for not giving them money, for taking the lawsuit. And there's all these, like, demands that they have now. It's just, oh my God, it's gotten to a point of just complete stupidity. And of course, George Soros is the one funding all this crap. So, I mean, you have puppet masters from every different, Koch brothers that have their money. You have the, I'm trying to remember, Adelstein. I think he's the one for, I'm not too sure, for the Jewish agenda. There's a lot of other, I mean, you got Huma Abedin, her mother, that whole push there with the different imams too that are involved with the Democratic Party that promotes Sharia law. And it's funny how, like, 15 years ago it was all on the news: terrorism, terrorists, killers, terrorists. Now you can't even say they're terrorists. 15 years later, there are no terrorists. There are no bombings. They're all white people. In fact, it's kind of funny. You had the Podesta emails, the Democratic National Convention, that the Democratic Party practically. Every time there's a mass shooting, and it's not a white person, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sad. I wish that was a white person that went postal and killed all these people," because it doesn't fit their political agenda. And that's what it comes down to, folks. The Democrats are completely fucking controlled, just like the Republicans. But what I like about Trump is that the backlash that he's gotten. I mean, take Obama when he ran, for example. Anybody who questioned his backgrounds, anybody who really kind of went to do some research into his history, were completely shut down. were completely told that if they, any kind of looking into it, what they put Dinesh D'Souza in prison for bullshit things for him coming out and talking about it. They're talking to Joel Gilbert from No Place Like Utopia, and that guy there, they've been threatening him with a few other things, and it's crazy how they're trying to, they're blacklisting journalists that they don't agree with, and even the UN is doing that for their climate conferences. So it's gotten to the point where real journalism, and that's why I think, even though I'm just here, just doing my own thing, and I'm probably not getting a lot of subscribers, I recommend anybody listening to me who actually takes the time, and thank you very much for listening to my videos. I really think you should maybe start a thing and just kind of talk about your beefs, because there's going to be a rising need, a niche that's going to be coming out of all this distrust in the mainstream media, is that alternative media is going to be more, is going to have a rise from this. I mean, Hillary Clinton is now doing a $10 million advertisement video where she's trying to say that Trump gets all of his stuff from InfoWars. And I mean, hey, I don't agree with some of the stuff the guy talks about, Alex Jones or whatnot. But I mean, if they're practically giving him an advertisement, for a whole bunch of people to be like, who is Alex Jones? And then once they watch the the show, I give people who I talk to sometimes. Sorry for that. This is what I call the Alex Jones challenge. Because YouTube's all about these stupid little trends. I'll start the Alex Jones challenge, where, get somebody to watch the Alex Jones show for a week, who wouldn't watch it, and ask them at the end of it if they think Alex Jones is just as crazy as the mainstream media portrays him out to be. And right then and there, you lose the mainstream media loses the war. And they're ultimately putting his ad in a $10 million campaign against Trump. So, hey, by all means, go for it. It seems like a really stupid idea, but yeah, the Democrats are doing it. They're the ones that they've stuck to their bullshit corporate New World Order playbook for so long that they don't know what else to do. They notice that they're 5 to 10 to 15 years behind in their One World Order, global governance. And the fact that there's all this public outrage for these trade deals that have very little to do. And I've been talking about this for years. The proof that there's a development of a global government is the fact that the UK doesn't write its own laws. The fact that as soon as you get put into these European unions or these North American unions, which they've been pushing since NAFTA here in North America, people aren't gonna go for it. They like their countries for the most part. I'm a Canadian. I love Canada. I've seen all different parts of it. Never went up north because, I didn't have... everything's way too expensive, way too cold, and I don't have a pickup truck, so it would kind of screw me over. But, I've been, out west and out east and stuff, and I love Canada. I just love the different parts of, the beauty of the scenery, the people in different areas. I'm living in southern Ontario. It's kind of the asshole of Canada. I'll be honest with you. I mean, yeah, there's some cool stuff that's going on in Toronto if you have money and stuff, and then, Hamilton, or Niagara Falls if you like the whole tourism aspect of things. They got a restaurant there called the Flying Saucer. It's an actual shaped flying saucer. Anyways, I'm just going to get into it. So there's a lot of cool things about Canada, and just, for people that love their country. And there's nothing wrong with loving your country or wanting to be able to have a democratic or to be able to have a say in what goes on in your country. And what we've seen with the Brexit is all these guilty, millennial British people who are just, feeling guilty at the fact that they voted for Brexit to be able to have say what goes on in their own country. And the speculators like George Soros has been completely taking down the British pound. I mean, if you look at just the British pound since Brexit, it has been intentionally kept down. That has nothing to do, mind you, with the GDP and the trade and the stuff that's been going on a day-to-day basis. That has a lot to do with the fact that the banks are completely... The stock market in Britain is completely fabricated. You look at the housing market. They take the same house and they sell it over and over and over again. There's states that have Here in Canada and in the States, they have some laws against a certain a limit of how many times you can hedge that. But they have it in the UK, where pretty much the housing market is the biggest part of the economy. It's the part where people in London can't even afford to live in London. They have to get houses outside, or some people are even renting boats on the Thames, or Thames, or whatever you ever pronounce it. But it's ridiculous, and there's only a certain amount of time where you can put so much investing into that before the bubble bursts. And Max Kaiser, many different people have been economists have been talking about that for quite some time. And I think we really have to keep an eye on Deutsche Bank. When Deutsche Bank goes, there's a good chance that it might have some severe ripples. And the fact that they've been keeping it inflated right now is very scary. The fact that the Canadian housing market is completely overheated, because, mind you, a lot of the people buying houses here in Canada are Chinese and people that are coming to look to launder money in Canada for the real estate, so that they have some assets here in Canada. And there's, like, you watch Border Security Patrol here in Canada, where they have all these people that come through customs. Like, almost 80% of the people that have more money that they don't declare are usually the Chinese, because they're trying to get some. They'll come over and say, "Oh, well, I have a son or a daughter that's coming over to Canada or to the States to do schooling." So they have these exemptions in the communist government where they're allowed to they're allowed to go over and buy a house and stuff like that, because they're very limited in what they can actually invest in China. And a lot of Chinese don't want to invest in the housing. I mean, they used to, because the housing market used to be such a great, but now it's made up of almost 3/4 of the entire economy of the Chinese market. So when there's a housing bubble, when that pops, they feel it. Like, I think I've done videos on the economic collapse series. I highly recommend anybody to go check that out on my video on China, where I talked about the housing bubbles that have popped and what that did to the Chinese people. Didn't completely destroy their economy, because they have cheap production costs, so they're always going to have. They also have access to 98% of the rare earth minerals, which is definitely good in their favor. So they're going to be laughing pretty much for the most bit. But what it really is the implementation of, they have this thing where they try to save, they have a thing where if they back up some of the investments that are done, especially in real estate. So if there's any loss, they try to take money that's actually been put in the coffers to pay for that, which is a communist ideology and a communist way of economics. But when they try to merge into a capitalist society where it's not about accumulating wealth. It's about pretty much just kind of riding the markets and the ebb and flow, so to speak, of the economy. Then they've definitely had some pretty bad outcomes from trying to integrate both of their methods of thinking. So they've had ups and downs. They've had parts where people have completely lost their houses and stuff. So it's just how it is. But should be interesting to see how that plays out. I am more worried about World War III. I was looking at like Nuke Map and some other places that were talking about the Topol missiles, the ICBMs that the Russians have, and I'm actually kind of lucky. I live in a place where it's like where it's kind of in the country, but it's not like close enough to any major cities, so that if there was a nuclear war, I'd probably be okay, because there's like routes that I've planned out where I could go, where I could get up to like areas like Sudbury. As long as they didn't nuke Sudbury, it'd be okay, because you'd be able to use the mines in Sudbury to live there for a bit, and then maybe 5-10 years, because you also have to keep in mind that if there was a nuclear Armageddon or whatnot, that the global temperatures would drop. And, they talk about climate change, yet they're not, they don't give a shit about the fact that we're in, like, possible World War III scenario. Or IV. If you go by the Pentagon's examples, they've already said that World War III happened ever since 9/11 and that whole going into Afghanistan and Iraq and stuff. They're talking about a World War IV scenario. So it just goes to show you how much just out of the loop the public has been kept in this whole time. So, I'm going to leave it at that right now. I'm going to see what happens with the debates, maybe make some other videos. Thank you very much for listening to my rants. And I just thought I had to say something, just because of the last almost week and a half of just WikiLeaks and email leaks that have just been damning Hillary Clinton, and just how criminal how just she knew that those emails were confidential, oh my God, she should be in jail. Like, she is above the law. They talk about white privilege. There's only one privilege in the States, and that is Clinton privilege, or banker privilege, if you want to get right into it. But I'm going to leave it at that, and probably be doing some more videos. Thank you very much. Hopefully the debate goes good tomorrow, and keep on rocking in the free world as long as it stays free. And yeah, thank you very much for listening to what I had to say. All right, peace.